Let's get some reaction now from Strategic Wealth Partners investment strategist Luke Lloyd and Geltrude and company founder Dan Geltrude. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us. Luke, let me begin with you. An extra $250 at least, that can make a big difference, can it not, for families just simply trying to make ends meet?
It makes a huge difference, Ashley. The thing is, the middle class and the lower class are always the ones that pay the price for policies in Washington that accelerated these inflationary pressures. The fact of the matter is that the greedy corporations did not cause this inflation. The politicians in Washington did. And also the American consumer, is definitely weaker than it was a year ago. And it all goes back to the extra stimulus that we got from Joe Biden right when he got back in office. So, Biden tooted his horn that he was all for the middle class, but really all he's done is help destroy the middle class and make the wealthier richer, because the wealthy have their assets tied to the stock market and assets, and not like the middle class who relies on income to pay for the lifestyle, right? Thankfully right now, Joe Manchin is saving the day with Build Back Better, which would have caused even worse issues for the middle class.
Yeah, Dan, Luke brings up a good point. In the middle of all of this, the Biden administration is in part blaming greedy corporations, he says, taking advantage of their monopoly to raise prices. But also he still wants to get this massive spending bill through, the Build Back Better. It seems to me the White House just isn't getting a grasp on what's causing this inflation and the pain it is inflicting. Would you agree?
I absolutely agree with that. Look, they are completely missing the whole point here. They are putting much more emphasis on increasing demand, and that is the exact opposite of what we need. We have a supply issue. Demand is fine. We need to focus in on how do we increase supplies. That's a piece of it. But at the same time, everything is costing more. Why? Not because of the pandemic, not because of the virus. It's because of bad policies. Look, even Larry Summers, Democrat, economist, the left loves him. He has been warning about doing this and spending more money. No one is listening.
So, Luke, what happens to the economy? This is an economy driven by consumer spending, but right now a large number of consumers are trying to decide what to pay. Can I pay my utility bill in full? Having to cut back on groceries. What's the bigger impact here?
Yeah, so it's all about the middle class. I talk about the middle class all the time because it is the backbone of the economy, along with small business. So when it costs more to go to the grocery store, the gas station, the pump, people's pockets get eaten up very quickly. I mean, the thing is, I heard you mention earlier that, real wages are actually down over 2%, because when you adjust for the wage growth and also the inflation growth, they're actually down. So that's what really concerns me. 2022 is going to be the year to determine how really strong is the middle class, because we saw this huge influx of money over the past 2 years. Is that sustainable? The bar's being set pretty high right now. It's got to come down a little bit. And that's what concerns me about the stock market and the economy.
So, Dan, all eyes are on the Federal Reserve. Growing belief they're going to have to be very aggressive to put a cap on all of this. What do you expect the Fed to do this year?
Well, I think they're in a position where they have no choice but to raise interest rates. But we shouldn't really have gotten to this point. Again, we go back to what the policies have been coming out of the White House. The White House has essentially punted this problem with inflation over to the Fed and said, hey, you fix it. Now, I saw Charles Payne say something very interesting. He said the Fed is in a position where how do they heal the patient without actually killing the patient? And that's what we're looking at here in terms of that balance of raising interest rates, because we could easily be thrown into a recession.
What do you think? Should there just be an outright ban? Is there too much conflict of interest potential here?
Well, it's rare that I agree with Nancy Pelosi, but when I do, it's because she's making some sense. And I think she is making some sense here. Look, I think that there should be a ban, as she actually said, across government related to the trading of individual stocks. This stock act of 2012 that's supposed to keep Congress in line is definitely not working. And even people who are not properly reporting their stock trades within 45 days, if they don't do it, well, there's no teeth to it. So something really needs to be done.
What do you think, Luke? Do you agree? Is it just not a good, it's not good optics, as they say, if you start trading stocks in areas that you may have some influence?
I'm all for free market capitalism, but insider trading is not free market capitalism. And Nancy Pelosi and her husband already got rich off of trading stocks on policies she implemented.
Yep.
So, of course, she's okay with banning trading stocks now, right? This ban should have been implemented a long time ago. Policymakers should have their money in a blind trust, honestly. The amount of insider information they're exposed to is absolutely insane. And these policymakers, they influence markets. They influence companies. They influence every aspect of our life, essentially. Even if they have to report stock trades, they still have and absolutely can take advantage of future policies, because these policies sometimes are thought 6 months, a year down the road, right? So just restricting stock access isn't enough. Or reporting stock access isn't enough.
Right. And Dan, I know you say it should be government-wide, and to Nancy Pelosi's point, that should include the Judicial Branch, right? Because she points out they debate important issues that could have big impacts on companies and industries.
There's no question about it. Look, the Supreme Court really deals with a lot of huge issues, and they're the ones many times making those final decisions. So, yes, they absolutely have access to information while they're in conference, while they're discussing things that the general public would not. And that puts them completely at an unfair advantage over everyone else. And like Luke said, look, this is about having access to insider information. That's not supposed to be allowed anywhere. So I think the Judicial Branch should be included.